Welcome back, guys. Another matchups video, bit of team list, bit of waiver wire pickups, all the rest of it as usual, trying to get this one out ASAP for your commute home, so you get your waivers in, get organised in time. I don't do enough of this, but instead of running through the Oracle updates this week, we're going to quickly do a bit of an accountability check, just a bit of an assessment of how we went with the matchups last week. I do record all of the matchups and the projections into my database and get accuracy reports, which I'll do probably next week. We'll go through that, but I just want to touch on a really good week of gun matchup predictions, which are one of the more accurate predictions, aka when a good player has an opportunity to continue being good or be better than their average score, they're converting at a pretty good rate. You can see here, Dylan Edwards went nuclear, Johnson went fine, Latrell went large, Gagai failed on that, Burnsy, he scored but didn't sort of do anything with it, which is rare for someone like him who's usually a bit of a base guy. So that's like a neutral because he did score a try, he was fine, he just didn't go large or anything. Cleary went solid, hit upside. Ford went nuts. Brayley hit upside, Ben Travojevic hit upside, Olaquatu went above average, and Willison went super large. The reason I've got Willison here is it said Paddy Carrigan, because in the database it is a real pain for me to swap names around all the time, guys. Like if a guy's out for a week or two, it can be a bit of a pain, so that's why I've done that there. Just with the elites, Teddy, no Hammer, no Tommy, which was actually cool. Again, same deal with the injuries, but I've swapped that around. Tupou scored, just didn't go large. Jenko went fine, didn't score, didn't do anything. Hopewadi went large. Herbie was good. Billy Smith was Savala, who was good. Purdue failed on his chance, which hurts. Ali failed with the HIA. Averillo went. That was actually Trai Fuller, in that spot. So that's stats were related to the right centre, as you can see here. So Trai Fuller went well. Penasini, neither here nor there. Taruva, neither here nor there. Asako hit his upside. Simonson was actually Kelly, who hit upside, 100 plus. Dewey, Heinze, not so much Clifford. Terrell, Toby, no Trey Mooney, no Harry Grant, no Cookie, but Appy. Samuel Afinu. Huddy Young was actually Hosking, is that right? Yeah, Huddy Young was Hosking, who did actually convert. Oh no, he was Noah Martin. I think Hosking played on the right. So yeah, Hosking couldn't convert. Luch, I didn't double check Luch, actually I'm pretty sure it was just nil because he did go to the sin bin. Siwa Wong converted, Presto, neither here nor there. Kai Paul, HIA, Twile converted, Stewart converted, and Isaiah Yo converted. So locks are really consistent. So just a bit of an accountability update there, guys. I did finish that just saying accountability update. It's more an accuracy check. Accountability is king because it's just the stats. I'm not really pulling recommendations out of my I'm just going off the statistical matchup that we know to exist. So let's look at this week's stuff. So Dufty gets the gun fullback at matchup. A lot of that unfortunately is to do with Dufty only playing 2 games, so he's got a little bit of a scoring pedigree boon there. So what's probably more important is Teddy and Hammer again. Kinney, even Hammer off a down week returning means he has the matchup. Khan Pereira has the gun matchup at left wing. Herbie, Hiroti, hard to trust. That's actually not Hiroti, I realised. That's pulling through. That's Sifa Talakai pulling through instead of Hiroti, so ignore the Hiroti there, but the right centre is Sifa Talakai. Taruva's actually at fullback, so that is Jarrell Skelton. Adam Dewey, Xavier Willison that's actually Ben Tolte. Twile just dominates. Talis Duncan, that's just pretty much of him dominating. This is Lisati, I think, and it might be Blore, so I've actually not pulled a name in there because we don't know necessarily where they'll line up, so keep this one in mind. Lisati probably goes right, so maybe it is Blore. I don't know, I'm not too confident to know what they're going to do there. Brayley pops in there, so that's your gun matchups. Not the funnest week of gun matchups, but there's actually like waiver plug and play stuff going on with Dufty, Khan Pereira, Hiroti. So from a draft perspective is interesting. Skelton, the Melbourne option, pretty interesting from draft perspective. In the elites, let's just run through the top line. These locks are pretty consistent. This is actually Jaden Brayley, so I'd ignore that one. Our edge back roles are converting pretty well. This is now Dylan Lucas. Francis Manuela is now out with Lucas returning. Asako, that's actually Trai Fuller. He's just pulling through because he's got priority as Trai Fuller comes through in my database as a fullback because he's a draft fullback, or positionally in Supercoach a fullback. So the system it just takes CTW and gives it to this spot, but that's actually Trai Fuller. If we didn't have Jake Averillo locked out as the 5'8", then he would come through here. But it's going to be Trai Fuller, I believe. Toya pops in here, who's an interesting name. Terrell's down here. Tanner Boyd's here. Crossland got some upside, which is crazy, but yeah, I'd focus on the edges, the locks. Lehigh Hopewadi, another week in the top matchups. He's rolling, Lehigh Hopewadi. Clayton Failolo is a plug and play in your deep draft leagues. I really like, even as a stash, see if he really kicks on. He's a talented young player. AJ's back, Taylor May for holders. I'd be trying to sell him high though. If you haven't heard or seen me discuss that anywhere else, I would get on that. We've got Phil Sammy returning, and then the King, Latrell Mitchell, the King of Supercoach in 2026. Latrell Mitchell there. Let you guys pause or read this on the socials if you want. I'll move my head just in case, so you can have a look at that. First game. Just going to call out the top matchups just to save my voice and get this out faster, and I will also touch on any pickups. The first consideration is a favourable matchup for Jonathan Su'A. Look, his work rate's there, so I don't hate him in deeper league draft leagues as a bit of a stash or something if you're just really desperate in CTW and want to see what happens. What I like is Crichton played on the right, so this is a little bit in the wrong way around because I'm pretty sure Crichton's going to line up on the right again, which I think is good because I think Bronson Cherry's got great hands and really lets his winger benefit, so Jonathan Su'A could do worse. Even though there's an avoid matchup on Cherry, I still like him and I think he should be owned in draft leagues. Tom Chester keeps keeping on. Braden Burns is fine. Laybutt comes in. We saw Murray Talangi keeps scoring tries. Laybutt could do the same here with the favourable matchup. Drinky, you're starting every day, even though the weighted conceding is 58 for fullbacks against Canterbury isn't amazing, but he's just so darn good that you just back him in. On the flip side, Bulldogs doing quite well, but Connor Tracy just hasn't shown he's got much of a ceiling this year, so I'm not too stressed. Both half sets are in the top 5, as you can see here. It's Matty Burton and Co, Galvin, Cliffo and Dearden, all startable totally. Halem Lukey keeps keeping on. They're conceding heaps, and he's dominating when he plays. A lot of two major junk time tries for Lukey this year, booning him up. If you could sell him high. I've been saying that since like week 3, so kind of maintain that. Presto again, just his pedigree kind of exceeds here, but yeah, still an interesting matchup there. They're conceding enough that he's definitely, you're starting him everywhere. There's a world you could VC him. I don't know if it's the best play of all, but you could definitely do that. Let's keep moving on. Gun matchup for Lisati if he plays on the left. That could be Blore though, as I said. Not sure with either. Obviously if Lisati flows into this side, it burns it, so it's a bit of a coin flip here. It's hard to know without knowing what they're going to do. Just know that the left to RF has the defensive opportunity, guys. That's the key call out. Whoever plays left has the key defensive opportunity. Finafuaki on the other side here, he has the right to RF. He has a crazy nice elite matchup at third there. Harry Grant gets a chance. Can he do something through the middle? I do expect him to be involved after the track they're on. In the back line though, nothing of note really except the favourable for Sulavi Fa'olongo, and then on the other side it's really nice for the Dolphins backline with Hammer cracking another elite. That's like 3 or 4 in a row. He's just going great guns with his matchups. Selwyn even gets a mention. I wouldn't do anything there, but Herbie, Trai Fuller, Jermaine all looking quite good. Halves not as good, but favourable for the Melbourne halves. But yeah, nothing to write home really about Katoa and what's his face, Avarillo there. It's not to say they may not do anything, just not in the data set, will they? Jumping over Gold Coast Titans, it looks really good on paper. Whether that comes to reality, I'm not sure given what the Titans tend to throw up. But Kiana Kinney elite, Sami elite, Brimson tough, Jojo elite. For Armani, who's actually been scoring a couple of tries, doing a little bit on that nice right edge driven by Jaden Campbell. They're both favourable. For the Canberra, you think it would be a bit better, but the chopping and changing makes it tough for that back line to gel. So, but still favourable for Tamale. And Chris, pardon me, but I'd fire them all up. Regardless. Titans are Titans and vice versa. Some of the key defensive weaknesses like Brimson not doing anything but has a huge conceding opportunity. Sammy that left edge looks nice with Brimson Sammy, so hopefully Kinney can chime in there for us Kinney owners in draft. Jaden Bradley, as I said, ignore that. He at 13 isn't something I'm too interested in. Sasangi probably outweighs that defensive opportunity there, though. Like dropping in as a name there in the past, I think he does much better. I think you can comfortably play Sasangi against the Titans. Wouldn't really worry about it. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about Sasangi. You can go for him. I think you just play your players in this one, to be honest. I think, what are we with Thursday night, Friday night game? Nice VC game if you do have any, like Jaden Campbells or Keanu Kinneys here. Or Sasangi even on that one. Next game, Para, New Zealand. Khan Pereira just scoring tries for fun. Has a gun matchup, the young fella, so really cool for him. Tanner Boyd elite, Jackson Ford elite. It's really nice for this back line overall, guys, so super cool. For guys owning Warriors stock, they're fun to watch, and now you get the benefit of the stats in this one against Para. Brian Kelly kind of defies all odds and gets an elite matchup here, which is really cool for him and people that have stashed him in draft or are looking to maybe make a waiver or free agency play for him. Yeah, forward pack's kind of all decent. I'm happy to just start all Warriors in this one 100%. On the other side too, like Guymer, Williams, all that, you can definitely fire him up with no issues. This lock is not Guymer though. Who is that? Is actually... That's Jack de Belin, who I just don't know about the minutes for Jack de Belin, but maybe he's trending towards 55 minutes, and I think he's definitely waiverable, guys. So from like a waiver free agencies, I think de Belin's someone you can consider there at lock. For your second FRF, he might get you 50 points, max 55, which would be great. Just not sure about his minutes. We just don't know enough, but everyone's probably looking for FRF2s that can get him 45 plus, to be honest. So I think he's an option. Riley Smith continues to start, that's fine. I'll just go to the next one. Okay, it's a little bit more vibrant here. Reece Walsh returns. He's dropped in on, I think, potentially the Perham stats, so that should be a bit better than an avoid for Walsh, but again, hard to control what's pulling through just with the chopping and changing. Check socials. I'll tidy it up before I push to socials, these images. But I don't think anyone's really put any major scores on our Roosters, not my Roosters, but on the Roosters that we know. I'll just check the defense map for the fullback. Quickly have a look, guys, at what. Yeah, the Roosters. Yeah, fullback. Yeah, they're not conceding much at all, guys. So yeah, I mean Walsh is good, but so he could do anything, but they've been pretty staunch. Backline looks pretty boring, but you've got to play them. The Broncos are so dynamic. I think you've got to play your Broncos. Same goes for your Roosters. If they're going to hold the ball, they're going to score points. And when it comes to that, you just got to. This is a game of upside this season. You got to play your guys. Disappointing Tupou just has scored tries and not done anything. With it, which is just a pain in the ass really for owners. So I think you keep trotting him out there in 4 CT dub leagues, but I think in leagues like mine with 3 CT dub, he's a matchup play, and I don't know if I'm going to start him when it says tough. I mean, like, yeah, he'll probably score a try, but does he go 65 plus, which is what I want? Probably not. Teddy though, all systems go 100%. I think he likes playing the Bronx, so he'll be up and about. Robert Toya. He's definitely a player. Looks absolutely awesome. Same as Mark, Sammy Walker, and DCE. Yeah, I think they'll continue doing what they're doing, unless the Broncos keep bringing that sort of starch defense, which we've seen a little bit from them, which is cool. Ben Talty, yeah, I'm not doing too much with a gun matchup for a prop. Corey Pakes, neither. Cat Carrigan stands out the elite matchup. He could convert on that with maybe a couple of offloads, line break assists, that sort of thing. But yeah, hard to know. But after the rest he's had through the suspension, I expect he probably plays 80, which is great for Carrigan owners. This is awesome with Crichton and Siwa Wong. Siwa Wong's been awesome. I think it's great to see them having elite matchups, which will be awesome. If you're relying on them, yeah, definitely. I think even though like they are playing the Bronx, have been pretty good, I think you can play them with some sort of confidence. Newey, they've got a lot of guys back. It's been a really brutal run for them, and the Bunnies are scoring so many points. They're not even allowing people to score anything against them, which means that the matchups look really bad. If there is a back line when healthy, whether these guys are that healthy, like Best and Ponga, but if there is a back line on paper that could score against them and kind of do something, it could be this one, this revised or revitalised Knights back line. Hold on, I just gotta pause this. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, I'd play my guys here probably, even though it does say avoid. Then on the other side, 100% play them the way the Knights have leaked points. Yeah, that's hard to pass up. Just the way the Bunnies are rolling, like you just got to go for it. It's sad for Fletcher Hunt owners that he has to drop out because he's been doing a little bit here and there from a draft perspective. Obviously, Lucas has to be owned. Talis Duncan, all that. I think the buy low window I had on Duncan's well and truly closed, unfortunately. And Lucas coming back this early means that we can't sort of leverage some of the options we had to go and buy him that we could have if he was just 2 weeks away. I feel like someone like Jaden Stewart you could have maybe used, but with his getting suspended just kills it. So unfortunately that one flies away. That opportunity sort of thing flies away, which is really frustrating for people trying to strategize their way to get their hands on Dylan Lucas. But one thing I note is that the Knights don't have the best buy schedule during Origin, which hurts, because to trade for Lucas and really miss him on 12 and 15 just kind of defeats the purpose. So he's someone I'll be looking to get potentially after Origin, see if I can grab him for the right price. I thought it was interesting, Colin Matangi goes out to the left there. The matchup stats on a void on him are a bit incorrect, just the way that they've been trotting people out and swapping them in and out and playing different guys there. So this is an anomaly I would not pay much attention to. I don't know what. I don't think Colin Matangi's ever been that effective on the edge, so I'd play him, but I wouldn't. It's on a void, but I wouldn't expect a heap either. It's like one of those. Yeah, it's a combination of factors here with the left to our left there. Cronulla, Wests, Tupouniua goes to fullback is probably the main call out. Skelton, Dewey, Terrell May, they have the matchups. Crazy so does Twal, and it's still favourable for the back row, like it has been basically all year for the Tigers. Their back rowers get a lot of action, make a lot of plays. Over on the Sharks side, ignoring the back rowers for them who haven't been getting enough action. It's gun for Brayley because he's just an absolute freak, but the Tigers haven't been conceding a lot in the middle, but without Appy they may not be as tight, so we'll just see how Brayley goes around there. It looks good for AFB, which is nice. Hopefully he gets the offload going for owners. Talakai has the matchup there at the right centre. Ero has a tough matchup. They've been super staunch there at left centre, running up against Orby Stafford Toa, so yeah, I don't know, I back Ero there a little bit, see what he can do, and Tupouniua has obviously contributed to that being a restricted scoring, whereas Skelton is not that guy in defence. So they could be on for Ero and Stone Street, and for drafters it's getting close to needing to stash Mulatalo if you have a big enough bench, but he's still a luxury stash as he may not be back till round 13, and we're only at round 9. That's a long hold in the way injuries and stuff play out in this game. Last game of the round, look how good it looks for the Panthers. It's like favourable, neutral, favourable, neutral, favourable, neutral, neutral, favourable, elite, elite. So it's all sort of like green and gold, but it's all pretty positive. And I think we'll see that Manly's hot streak doesn't come to an end necessarily, but I think they're going to meet their match, and this should be good for our Panthers boys playing at home. On the other side, though, the rolling Fosball has Lehigh Hopperwhite and Clayton Falalo up and about into the elite matchups. It's another week with a centre having a positive matchup against the Penrith Panthers, with a bit of historical sort of attribution there, but I don't necessarily think it'll relate to anything running at Alamotti and Cleary there. I don't know, like, you know, you've got like Herbie's massive score in there, that's going to have an impact. Yeah, like they're not even conceding a lot to left wings, but Lehigh just scoring in the last 3 to 4 weeks has been so good, and Manly down that left, so I think they're getting a bit of a boon there. The story is that it's Manly's production and pedigree has been so good that it's really influencing certain calls to come into that top 5, getting them those matchups, even the top 10, when I think in reality on the footy pitch, I don't really have that much confidence in them going super large against Penrith. And then alternatively, Penrith's been going decently, but they've been spreading the love. Last week we saw a lot of Dylan Edwards and Brian To'o, and then because Manly have won a couple of games on the trot, they're not conceding a lot because they're rolling, right? So this one's really interesting, and I would just back my Penrith guys and not overvalue or not over rely on Manly fringe players, but you could probably play your main guys from there. Halmoli in particular, they're favourable but so close to elite with like the 74 matchup score against the 75 conceded, super close to being elite matchup for the right 2RF. Travojevic, he's been scoring well, but the conceding isn't amazing there, so he's one that you probably, if you were going to sit him, this would be the week sort of thing. So just from a waiver free agency perspective, I missed Tuala on the wing for the Dogs. Must be owned. He did have a hammy issue, which I hate to see him coming back that early, but with Montoya dropping out, Tuala, the work rate plus the try scoring upside there has to be owned. Tuala, I think, just to monitor and see how that goes, I would rate him over Jonathan Su'a. Sitili Tupouniua, FRF eligible on the back row, got to be owned. You just got to see for the short term if you're getting that value out of your 2RF. I mean, out of your FRF too. When I say got to be owned, I mean within reason, guys. Like, you don't have to own him, but just certain leagues, I think he's definitely a guy to grab. I'd probably spend like a mid-low waiver on him if you're not already stashing him. Jeremiah Nanai didn't do much, but he's in and about. He's on a favourable edge there with like Purdue in and around there, and Clifford, who likes to use his back rower. So I think Nanai should be on rosters where applicable. Is Blore a waiver? I don't think so. Even though, like, if he plays left, we already know he's nothing. If he plays right, I just don't think he has the leg speed to break through the line. And now he doesn't have Jahrome Hughes there, so Blore I don't think is a waiver for me. Lisati I think is based on work rate though. I think he can be something, so it's a bit different. And with Joe Chan on the bench, he could spell either one. So I think Lisati I would waiver for. Blore I would not, just to be clear on those two guys there. Trai Fuller, you should get him at fullback during Origin, but he's not CTW eligible, so his value is limited, but he's 100% a waiver guy, okay? And alternatively, Hugo Peel, for the Storm in the back line, I don't think you need to waive or own him. But Tyran Wishart, obviously, if you're a Hughes or Munster owner, I think you need to waive. A Hughes owner, I think you need to waiver for him. If you're not and you're just in a trading league, you could get him and trade him to the Hughes owner, but you need to look at the landscape of halves. If the Hughes owner has Hugo Savala or Tanner Boyd or some like guy that they grabbed early on and kept his back up, you may not get anything for him. So yeah, Wishy though does usually do stuff when it comes to Supercoach, so I think he needs to be owned because he could be, if he's eligible at 5'8", he could be quite a significant upgrade for certain people there. Tamale, if he wasn't picked up last week or stashed, he's waiverable 100%. I think he's probably back now. So yeah, waiver for him, and Tomoko as well. I think you can waiver for him depending on your needs and your preferences. Adam Mariota, I wouldn't waiver for, but if you're feeling frisky, you could start him in your back row. Just running through any other names that stand out. Khan Pereira, I don't think you have to waiver for him, but it's a consideration. The way he's going, it does make things interesting. Leka Halasima, he's nearly a drop, honestly. Like, he's a luxury stash. Hopefully he's not killing your AEs type thing. Who else? I don't think there's any others, because like Willison should already be owned, but he's still a waiver 100% because he'll get, with Haas and Piacora out, Willison will just get enough minutes to be relevant in your FRF2 for sure. Tulty, I wouldn't waiver for Tulty, but he is startable in this landscape. He's up for the Bronx. He's definitely, with the injuries they've got, he's definitely startable. Dufty, if he's around, is waiverable, I think, especially if you're dry grey owner. Yeah, he's doing enough. I don't think there's anyone else that stands out. I just know I missed a few there at the start, so I just want to come back and make sure I hammer it for you guys. Obviously, if you're in all the communities, whether it's even YouTube comments or Substack, just message me if you have a query on a player in particular. Like Cam McInnes, I don't think you have to own or start him. Hiroti, free agent play, plug and play. Talakai, you could waiver for. I just don't like it 2RF in the CT dub, like really, but he does have upside and he got ball, and yeah, Tigers isn't necessarily the matchup, but yeah, if he locks the roll down, he'll get dual. But again, it's like what you want is CTW playing 2RF dual. You don't want 2RF playing CTW, but you have upside. So in a 3-2RF league, like you could definitely do worse, honestly. There's nothing in the other game, except the last game there, except Clayton Fowler, if you wanted to stash and see if he could become anything meaningful to you. And most Panthers and stuff will be owned. If you're in deep leagues, I'll do my ownership percentage player recommendations, which were, dude, I think we were like 5 from 6 or 6 from 7 last week in those. I just run my projection over certain guys that are on the fringe and see who looks like they're tracking well on a matchup and an average score basis hitting forward, and I just recommend those on Instagram. I don't think I put them on Twitter last week, but yeah, they're going pretty well, so you can check that out too. Anyway, that'll do. Best of luck on waivers and free agency tonight. Any questions around the matchups, just comment wherever you see the video and I'll step you through it.